Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Junk Monkeys podcast. It's been a minute, but we're back in the booth. Today, we have a review for a very impactful game this year, a little game called Elden Ring, and we have a review coming from not one, but two people who are very well versed in the Elden Ring universe, or whatever you want to call it. So just to introduce everybody, I'm your host, Noah. I'm hosting today as opposed to the usual Randy.
Hey.
But in the meantime, Randy is still here to my right.
You can't get rid of me, man.
No,
Every episode.
You are basically stuck here. It's almost like we need you to get into the recording booth.
Yeah, it's crazy how that works sometimes, you know.
And then we have I believe our second guest on the podcast?
Special guest, yeah.
Second.
I would say so.
Second special
Yeah, because Jordan
guest.
was one.
Yes, Jordan was one.
And then Dan is part of the crew.
Yes. So our second special guest on our career doing podcasting, I guess, is Shane.
Thanks for having me, lads.
Hey, what's up, Shane?
Happy to have you here. Shane, you have quite a bit of experience in Souls games.
In the Souls genre, yeah, I've played every single one besides Demon's Souls and pretty much every non-FromSoft Souls game, too.
Yeah.
So he's been through the ringer more than a few times.
A little bit.
So hopefully we'll get some insightful
We'll see.
ideas.
Shane is the guy I go to talk about Souls type stuff. Like, Mike has played it. You know, he's played a few of them, like, but that hasn't really, like... Shane and I are very much like, we're going to put ourselves through the ringer on each of these games. Like,
On a different level,
Yeah.
as opposed to like the regular Souls player.
yeah, we're not casual Souls players.
Truly love them.
Oh,
Professional
they're so
Souls
good.
players.
There's no game creates adrenaline like a Souls game does.
No. And no feeling of like just like utter like euphoria
Yeah.
after like
Exactly.
overcoming hours of work.
They're like they're like drugs.
yeah.
Literally, these games. Yeah. The ups and downs, the extremes.
It's
yeah.
insane, yeah.
The highest highs and the lowest lows.
That's
There are
right.
some low lows. I remember Shane borrowed my copy of Sekiro, which is like a Souls-like, and oh boy, that almost broke him.
Sekiro was the lowest low. The hardest by far.
Yeah.
By far
Oh.
the hardest. Oh my
tough.
god.
All right, well, that at least sets the bar for things. So, in case you didn't already know, we are going to be talking about the ringleader of 2022 so far.
In terms of Game of the Year,
in terms
probably.
of Game of the Year.
Yeah.
So far, there is still a lot to come out this
A
year.
lot of year left, you know?
Yeah, we're very early.
Everybody's like, this is it. This is the one. This is the one that's going
I
to win
think-
Game of the Year.
Only one game stands in the way, I think, which would be God of War. I don't think anything else is going to even touch Elden Ring.
And
No,
Starfield.
it's-
I don't think that's going to touch Elden Ring. That's my opinion.
Okay.
I could easily be proved a fool.
Okay.
But like, how
It's
long has it
possible.
been since Bethesda's put out anything?
Yeah. Yeah.
Hopefully, the new Microsoft budget will put them over the top.
I hope so.
It could.
So, for those of us who have been living under rocks recently, or people who haven't had the guts to put down however much money it is right now.
It's like $90 Canadian, bro.
Damn.
Games are expensive.
Games are
But
expensive.
like this game
But
is
what
worth.
you get out of them,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
$90 for 20 hours is one thing, but $90 for 120 hours.
Absurd. Absurd.
Well, and like games have gotten a lot more in depth now too,
Oh,
as
totally.
opposed to when they were only like $40. Still, would have been nice.
Mm.
Yeah, for those of us who have been living under rocks,
Yes.
or people who have only seen Elden Ring in passing, Shane, would you like to give a brief introduction to Elden Ring?
Yeah, for anyone who has no idea about it, it's a giant open world game that is marketed for its difficulty. It's meant to be hard and sometimes unenjoyable. It's a medieval fantasy game, basically, where you go around from place to place, building the strength of your character so you can beat more and more difficult enemies. It's a game where story really isn't a huge thing.
It takes a back seat.
It takes a back seat. You got to kind of really dig into the lore on the internet if you want to know the story. So it's way more about the gameplay, the trial and error, and constantly improving yourself to be able to overcome obstacles that you couldn't before.
Okay.
Totally.
So it's a game where you die repeatedly until you get that one run where you basically make it.
The game doesn't hold your hand, doesn't tell you what to do.
Doesn't pull punches.
No, you're set out in a world and it's like figured out. Yeah,
Here you go. Just do your own thing.
Yeah.
And we'll see if you beat the game.
exactly.
Well, there's other Souls games out there.
Yes.
Many other Souls games, not even necessarily called Dark Souls, as most people know. There's Mortal Shell, Sekiro, Neo.
Those are what we call Souls-like.
Souls-like
Yeah,
games.
Remnant.
How does Elden Ring differ from the multitude of other Souls-like games?
If I may jump in, when you play a Dark Souls game, you're playing a game that is masterfully crafted. Like typically with the earlier Dark Souls games, there's like Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3. The emphasis is on fantastic level design and fantastic like world building and fantastic like combat scenarios and like just beating the shit out of you like just enough that you're like, oh fuck, this is tough. But it's never to the point of like, well, I mean, in my opinion, some people may differ, but like it's never to the point of like, this is bullshit. Fuck this game. You know, like
There's some bullshit moments.
There are, there are, but they do like with other Soulsborne games, you're not getting that level of polish. You're not getting that level of like, somebody has gone through and made it so that if you go down a ladder and you come back to this area that you saw earlier in the game, you're like, holy shit, I'm back here. You know, like there's constantly moments of that. While Souls-like games, they focus on different aspects to make themselves stand out more. So like, I haven't played Mortal Shell. You have.
I played it briefly.
Okay.
I played Mortal Shell.
You
Yes.
played all of it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He beat it. He beats every Souls
Wow.
game.
Damn, dude. But like, there's a quality like difference. I'd imagine,
Yeah.
right?
One interjection I have. Neo 2 is absolutely amazing.
Right.
And on par, if not better.
Oh
Yeah, making big
Oh.
statements on my debut here.
All right.
But Neo 2 is one of the most amazing games I've ever played, and I really wish someone else would just play it. I'm not trying to steal your spotlight
Yeah,
here, but
no.
yeah. But other than that, absolutely, I agree.
Yeah. It stands above the rest in terms of like, you're getting a polished ass game that feels fantastic to play and provides. It doesn't hold your hand like you were saying, Shane. Like it's a game that like isn't like, oh, you're having a tough time. Would you like to turn down the difficulty to baby mode? Which is fine in some games if you want that. But like these aren't that game. You know, like these games will treat you with respect, and I love that for that. Like, don't hold my hand. Just let me go, and I'll go give it my best shot. You know?
It's you get a real feeling of accomplishment.
Yeah.
Versus other games, I would say.
Other than like checking boxes, you know what I mean?
You don't have that
Yeah.
scapegoat of like, oh, if I can't do this, I can always just lower the difficulty and then turn it back up once I'm finished this boss.
Yeah.
You're stuck at that difficulty. You're going to keep throwing your head against that wall until it breaks.
Yes, and there's also like there's no go here and do this, like you were saying about
Yeah.
the boxes, right? And I mean, there is really good games where that is the case, like The Witcher and whatnot.
Totally.
But a lot of games are moving away from that.
Yeah, Elden Ring doesn't have any real like quest markers or anything.
No.
Or a quest journal
has-
to keep track of.
Like usually in Souls, like you rest at fires, right? That's where you level up and get your healing charge back up. And some of them point in the direction that you're supposed to go, like probably like 10% of the graces in the game show you. Whereas no other, that's the most objective I've ever seen in a Souls game before.
Yeah.
Everything else is, you just kind of have to figure it out for yourself.
That's right.
The other Souls games have been very linear in that regard, where like the only way forward is forward, and like there are enemies over there that I haven't fought yet. Therefore, I'm gonna go fight those to progress. But this game, I don't know if you want to get into it, but like this game is open. Like this is the first time that we've seen the level of care and polish from Software Games, the developer of Dark Souls games, From Software. The level of care and polish and just design, like yeah,
You
that
can really
level
see
of-
their passion come through in it.
Totally. Yeah. And like they've gone through each area and painstakingly been like, hey, a player might go here or they might not. There are so many things in this game that are designed super well that most players will never find.
They've just planned for everything.
They have, and they've painstakingly made an open world. Typically, an open world, when you play it, like, oh, this is a filler area. Like, this is like to make the world look nice.
I haven't seen a single one of those.
No.
Everywhere you go is somewhat significant.
Yeah.
There was one corner of the map that I went very early on that I thought was empty, but then I discovered that it's intended to be a PvP area, and that is the only place in the game I've found where there isn't something to uncover almost around every corner. Yeah,
It's absurd. It's absurd that like that's the thing. Like the open world genre has very much turned to like everybody at the beginning. It was just the novelty of like, wow, I can go anywhere in this world. There might not be something over there to like.
But you can go over
But
there.
you can go over there. That's super cool. And then we got really bored of that really quick.
Yeah.
Because like
yeah.
There's only so many times you can go somewhere before you're just like, oh, I'm going over there, I guess.
yeah, like Breath of the Wild was like the bar for like a fantastic new way to do open world where like it's a huge open world and you can go anywhere and like most of the time you are rewarded for your curiosity, but typically it's like in that game you get like these little Korok seeds and you do these little puzzles and that doesn't really add up to that much. In this game, if you see something and you're like, that's piquing my interest, you go over there and you'll get something, and it may not be something that is super applicable to the way you're playing, but you saw a cool enemy, or you saw you found a cool item.
A cool environment.
Yeah, you found a new environment that you never would have found if you didn't have that that spark in your head of like, I want to go there.
Yeah, it grabbed your interest and you were rewarded.
Yeah,
of
that's all I ask, man. And I think that's what's really going to change in open worlds coming up in the next few years is that they're going to be like, hey, we need to reward curiosity and we need to like exploration needs to be rewarded.
Yeah, so there's basically what puts Elden Ring above other Souls games is that there's never like a dull moment. There's never a moment where you're just like, oh, okay, well, there's nothing to do here.
Yeah, there's no you don't run into any barricades really. Like you start going off in a direction and it just kind of spirals and snowballs and you end up miles off the course that you intended to go on. But it's not a bad thing.
This is a fantastic distraction generator.
Yeah.
Like the amount of times it'll be 9:30 at night, I'm like, I'll play for half an hour. And then it's 11:30 midnight. I'm like, fuck.
It's never half an hour.
No. There's always stuff to do. And at no point, I've put 40 hours into this game already. And at no point have I been like, oh, fuck, I don't know where to go. Like
No, and at no point have I felt like I've made any substantial progression towards finishing it.
No.
Even
I don't want to.
I know. I'm well over 50 hours, and there is still so much undiscovered map. It's ridiculous.
It's absurd, too, because, like, so I'm playing it, Shane's playing it, Mike's playing it, Brad's playing it, and then my friend from college, Spencer's playing it. And, like, all of it, like, I've had so many different conversations with every person that is playing this game. And every person will be like, have you found this? I'm like, no, I haven't found that. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I know.
Like,
even in areas that you thought you've completely combed over.
Totally.
Like, Mike was talking about stuff in the starting area. He's like, oh, you didn't do that? I'm like, I literally went back and actively tried, like putting like a beacon on the map. Okay, go over here. Beacon on the map the other way, go over here.
You find comb.
Still missed shit. Yeah.
Fine teeth comb.
That's quite something.
Alrighty. And so in this game, there is somewhat of a story. Shane, you were saying that if you want any story in Souls games, you usually have to dig pretty deep. If you have to dig for the story, how does it start you out? Does it start you out with any idea on like what your character's goal might be?
Yeah. You start with a cutscene. The cutscene says some things, and then you spawn in, and that's about the last you hear of it. And honestly, off the top of my head, it was some stuff about Elden Ring, the Elden Ring. I don't really remember. But then you start going, and basically the story is your own. You know, you kind of try to find your way to the end of the path of what's actually going on in between. You don't know. You're just kind of in a dystopian hell, and every NPC has some really terrible, tragic story for the most part. So those quests generate a bit of story building in the game.
It generates like single character. Like
Yeah.
you get to learn the character story.
Yeah, but as far as knowing what's actually going on in the world, you have to dig into like the wikis and stuff.
It is super cool because, like, yes, like you said, oh boy, they give you a cutscene and then it's like,
And that's it.
and then you will get into the game and there will be a message that will pop up that says, "Go become the Elden Lord." I'm like, okay,
You got it.
already.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means, but yeah,
It's a real rag to riches.
yeah. You
sort
start
of.
off as the lowest of the low, and you're trying to become the best of the best.
Yeah.
And that's typical in every Dark Souls game. But
Yes.
the way that they do story is super, super interesting because, like, Noah, I know you just played Horizon Forbidden West, and obviously that game, their production value goes into their cutscenes, and then they go into, like,
story driven.
yeah, super story driven. This game, I've experienced maybe 2-3 cutscenes total. Like the first one,
Yeah.
and then 2 boss ones.
And they're like short.
Yeah, they are not like we're not monologuing.
It's not a
No.
not a movie.
No.
They're not like explaining, and they're not like saying something to you and then you pick what to say back to them. Like it's just
Well, that's the thing. Like, if you know how, like, with these cinematic type games, there will be, like, on YouTube the super cut of, like,
Every cutscene.
every cutscene in the video game. In The Last of Us Part 2 had like a 10-hour, 12-hour like YouTube video.
Really?
Yeah, there was a lot of cutscene in that game.
How do I not remember that?
Yeah.
It never felt like it.
I know.
well,
it's crazy.
because it was so good.
It was so good.
That's true.
But this game's supercut would probably be like half an hour. Like, it's not much.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But anyway, like, the story in this game, for somebody, like, I love the story of Dark Souls games.
Mhm.
Even though it is so background, and you got to go digging for it.
Yeah.
But anytime, so basically, like, any item or weapon or anything that you get in the game will have a description.
Mhm.
And it will typically tell you what that item does, but it will also give you a little bit of lore, like just the tiniest scrap.
Just a
Oh,
hint.
okay.
Yeah. And then, like, one of them was, this is going to sound weird to anybody who hasn't played this game, but in the world, there are these jellyfish that are rolling around. They're enemies, right? And I'm like, oh, okay, they're rare enough that I'm like, okay, these are just an enemy that's around there. Then I pick up a shield that has to do with jellyfish. And I read the description. It says, jellyfish can only be found in places that are significant in, like, religious faith or something like that. I'm like, oh.
It gives a little backstory as to like their ecology and stuff.
Yeah. And I'm just like, that's really interesting. So anytime I see jellyfish, I'm like, oh, something important happened here, and that's why they're here. I'm like, that's a weird little tidbit that is sticking in my mind.
So you kind of piece together your own history of the place
Totally. Yeah.
off of rewards in game.
I got an item today that was just like talking about this specific race of something called like the Dragonborn or something like that, or Dragonkin. And it said like they lived under a sky that wasn't a real sky, so they didn't have real lightning, so they created their own ice lightning. I was like, that is the coolest sentence I've ever fucking heard in my life.
Well, yeah, and the fact that they've written all this stuff, but put such, I don't want to say such little effort, but they don't put it out there really. It has to be dug up, but they've really put effort into constructing it well.
They put a lot of time and money into creating the story, and then
they don't
give it.
present
But
it
they
to you,
hide
really.
it. Yeah.
And
And
just hide it away for the people that actually care to discover
And
it.
that's
And
what
I
they've
love
always
that.
done.
I love that because, like, if you don't give a shit, then don't read it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Or if you want somebody to go in there and figure it out and then make a YouTube video about it later and be like, this is the story of Elden Ring. I'm like, cool, thanks. You know?
You can
Yeah.
play through the entire game and still not know anything about the lore and watch a video on YouTube
Mm-hmm.
that will just broaden your horizon of what the game.
Yeah.
Have any Dark Souls game I've completed, I couldn't tell you what the story was.
That's fair.
No.
And as somebody who loves the story about them, like, I love watching these YouTubers be like, this is what we think is, like, insinuated from these item description. And, like, there's a fantastic, like, when Bloodborne came out, somebody named Vati Vidya, he's, like, the known, like, Dark Souls lore guy on YouTube. He put up, like, an hour and a half, like, the story of Bloodborne. And I watched the entire thing because I'm like, this is so fucking interesting.
Now that we're talking about it, I kind of want to do that.
Yeah.
Bloodborne's the one I probably know the most about. I think it's the most prominent story. But that would be probably super interesting.
And that's what's fantastic about Elden Ring right now is that everybody's trying to piece it together at the same time. Like, nobody actually knows what the story is completely yet because everybody keeps finding shit.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out there's a wall that takes 50 hits to
Mm-hmm.
break now, and like, yeah, they found that the other day.
Yeah, so you can't just hit a wall once and uncover the secret tunnel. You have to hit it 50 times.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Not interesting.
It's pretty fun to be a part of though, because every other Souls game I've bought it well after release.
Totally.
Because I bought Dark Souls 2 probably 3 years after it came out, and that was my first Souls game ever. And after that, it was always catch up.
Right.
So it's cool to be a part of the discovery.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun to be part of the growing story of Elden Ring.
Yeah. And it's fun to be part of the meme community. Like, I'm on Twitter every day, and every day somebody is like posting something that I'm like, fuck, that's funny. Because I'm also experiencing that. Like, there's such universal experiences in this game, I guess. Like, everybody's experiencing certain things, and some people are experiencing things that nobody's fucking seen. Like, it's insane.
All right. Now, is there anything that people should be worried about? Any dislikes you guys have with the game, or any even like minor inconveniences that bother you? Anything that might negatively affect somebody just playing the game, like not having the experience of playing other Dark Souls games, besides the obvious, it's hard, you're gonna die a lot.
Yeah.
My complaints are absolutely minuscule about this game.
Me too.
Like, I've had to actually think about anything that's annoying. The beacons, I've lost them on my own map. Like, you set them on the map, and then, like, they're so small that when you go back to your map to try to get rid of it because you don't want it on your compass anymore, you cannot find the thing.
Yeah.
I lost one for probably 10 hours, and I kept, like, going to how my character was aligned on the map, following it, fucking zoomed in as far as I could go. I could not find it.
I had to do the same thing.
Yeah, finally, one day, I tried again, and there it was, finally blended into a light spot on the map.
Yep.
That's like...
The amount of times that I've accidentally... Sorry, for people that are... a beacon is basically like a marker you can place on the map, and then it'll show up in the world. But it will show up on your in-game compass, like the HUD. Like, it'll show up on there. So it's really, really annoying, because you want a clean HUD. And there will be a fucking marker that you're like, God damn it, I don't know where that is.
You can place 3 at a time. And
you place like 6.
Oh, can you?
Oh, yeah.
I've never had more than 3.
No.
I guess that's because I like deleting them and having a clean compass.
Me too.
But yeah, it gets cluttered, and you don't want ones on there that are no longer relevant. And that's so like...
The amount of times I've placed a beacon next to a grace point on the map.
Yeah.
And then I'll be like, oh, fuck, I can't...
When you're trying to travel.
Magnet to it, and
Yeah.
So the maps, well, just just waypoints is a bit of a small.
Dude, like,
But
when we're saying minuscule,
that
this
sounds
is minuscule.
yeah.
I'm
that
literally
sounds-
trying to find problems so that I can answer your question. But like, as I'm playing the game,
There's nothing.
I don't know, Randy. Is
Just
there anything you
a
can...
perfect game.
Yeah, I only have like 2. One of them is a me thing, and I understand this might come off as like I'm the greatest of the greats. I've played them all. I'm
It's
the
not
fucking,
hard enough.
It's not sometimes. Though and you know what? This is totally on me because I typically go with a class. At the beginning of the game, you can choose a class that will like benefit a certain playstyle. And typically I go with the one that has high HP and high strength. So I can take a lot of hits and I can deal a lot of damage. So I'm messing things up because I know how to play these games, right? For somebody who doesn't know how to play these games, it will be difficult and they will be bashing their head against quite a few things. But I think I've only like had troubles with bosses maybe 3 times total in this game. And those felt great. Those felt great when I actually got to them and I was like, oh shit, a real challenge now. Because like the other ones will take maybe...
It's a breakthrough.
Yeah. But the other ones take maybe 1 to 2 tries.
To a degree, you can make the game more difficult on yourself, though,
Totally.
right? Like, if you don't use the spirit ashes, if you don't use any faith.
Or summons,
Yeah. But overall, definitely the easiest of all the ones they've ever made.
Well,
I would say.
that was my thing going into this game that I was concerned about was like difficulty scaling. And like, were they going to make every enemy scale to your level? And they didn't.
No.
And I think that's great.
Yeah, so
because
They made it like a regional difficulty.
Yeah. If you go to this one region, it's more difficult than the other region, right? So like the first area is called Limgrave, and there will be some enemies that are fucking bonkers tough in there. But like, and clearly you need to come back to this, and that's kind of the beauty of the design of this game. Is it's so easy. They give you a lot of tools to help you with any fight that you may have.
They give you the tools, but they don't give you. They're helping you out, but not making it easier.
They give you the notes. They give you the notes and they give you the textbooks, but they don't give you the degree. You got to earn the degree. You know.
Yeah, they definitely made this game with a wider audience in mind than ever before.
And it is working.
Yeah, and it's that's the same thing they did with 3. I thought 3 was quite a bit easier than 2.
Me too.
Was catered to a bigger audience. It wouldn't surprise me, and this is off topic, but if after this they kind of take a step back, do a more hardcore base fan game like they did. They made 3, and then after that was Bloodborne, right?
So it was...
Or was Bloodborne 3 and then Sekiro, right?
Yeah.
So they went from 3, which was kind of easier, to Sekiro.
The easiest one before Elden Ring.
Yeah. So, and Sekiro was fucking ridiculous.
That was a hardcore ass, like...
Yeah. So it wouldn't surprise me to see if they go back to something a little smaller after this to kind of take a breather from this big mass appeal Souls game.
I have heard that the second half of this game gets bonkers. Like,
it does?
Very tough.
Okay. Good.
So, and like, that's the thing. Shane and I are only like 40, 50 hours in. That sounds like a fuck ton of hours in a game.
Yeah.
I don't even think I'm half. I've beaten one of the... I think there's 5 main targets that you have to take out in this game. I've beaten 1. I'm 40 hours in.
Yeah, no, that is a lot, considering I recently platinumed Horizon Zero Dawn, and that took me 75 hours. So you're already halfway to that.
My trophy progress is 10%.
Yeah.
With 54 hours on the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Well, and that also plays into how it keeps branching, and you keep getting distracted by different things.
Yeah.
And you keep going off the main path.
It has not felt like 40 hours.
No.
I'm not gonna lie to you. Like before I took on the first target, they're called demigods. Like they're the big bosses that will progress the story. Like we'll get you closer to the end of the game and rolling credits. But like I put in 18 hours of just beautiful exploration and doing whatever I wanted without somebody being like, hey, you should get back on the main track now, or like, hey, Ciri's about to die over in fucking Novigrad, like you need to go check on that, you know, like
seeing the little marker on your compass saying, hey, go here, go here, go
yeah,
here.
If there was an annoying assistant in this game, like in most Zelda games, I would genuinely be very annoyed. But I think
something that forces a waypoint on your map.
Yeah, they're like, hey, you've had your fun. Let's get back to the story now because we have things to show you.
Yeah.
They have so much respect for the player, I think, that they understand the player will play at their own pace.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They let them play at whatever speed they want to play at.
And if they want to go and try and tackle the very hard thing that will progress the story, and they can't, there's so much other content to go do.
But it also doesn't stop somebody who's super hardcore and wanting to, like,
and just wants to bash their head.
in, I want to fight the gods.
Yep. They can do that. They literally, in this game, you will walk out, and it'll be like, oh, man, this open world, that's crazy. Oh, there's an enemy over there on a horse. I'm going to go try beat him.
Yeah.
Nope.
No, you're not.
No, you're not.
Likely death ahead.
Yeah. They put one of the hardest fucking enemies that you will face at the beginning of the game right in front of you.
Just to show you.
Just to be like, hey, we're not, no.
Yeah.
This isn't easy.
Slow down.
You're not about to do this. You're not about to do this at the gates.
Yeah.
So it is, this Elden Ring was made for a very broad audience.
Totally.
Well, broader than usual. It's not a Grand Theft Auto audience.
No.
But it's, probably double or triple the size of Dark Souls 3, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
I would think.
So it's made for the hardcore players.
I think this game is made for a lot of people.
And it's also a very good opener for people new to the genre.
They're trying to make it a little less intimidating for people who haven't played any prior games.
It's really wholesome because like they did a interview with Miyazaki, the main guy behind the Dark Souls series. He's like, I understand that these games are hard, but I just want people to feel that feeling that I get when I beat something that's very difficult. And I'm like, yeah, man. And you created a world, you've created a game that allows for that in different ways. Because before, in very linear games like Dark Souls 3 is a great example. You start that game, and there's a boss that is very tough for a lot of players. And like, you can't progress unless you beat that boss. And you can't level up, you can't farm or anything. That is like the test. And people will be like, I paid $80 for this game and I can't beat the fucking boss.
And it left a lot of like bad taste in people's mouths.
Yeah.
Right.
Because like digital refunds are very difficult, or like if people aren't jiving with that, well, that sucks. I got 10 minutes of gameplay out of this. You know what I mean?
I got 10 minutes and I'm down $80.
But this game allows you can run away from confrontations if you want to. They give you a horse pretty early on that's just like your get out of jail free card. Or like if you die, it's genuinely not that big of a deal a lot of the time because you probably don't have that many souls that you're going to drop when you die anyway. So like just go off and find something else and get more souls over there that's more accessible to you. Yeah. I could talk about this game for hours, bro.
Well, unfortunately for you, we can't talk about it for hours.
I can. No, I'm kidding.
I'm sure you'd love to.
I would love to.
However, people's attention span doesn't last that long.
That's a great point.
So, final question for this inter-review. I'm going to be asking both of you your personal score of this game out of 100. However, I'm pretty confident it's going to be high for both of you. If you have any things that you would like them to improve upon, you can voice them.
Sure.
If there's anything that we haven't already talked about that you still feel would be significant to somebody entering this game, now is the time.
Okay.
So I'll start with Randy, and then we'll go to you, Shane. Out of 100.
It's difficult to put it out of 100, but this game was made for me. It's like they took before this game, and it might still be, but before this game, my favorite game of all time is a game called Outer Wilds. That I'm sure that's fine. Outer Wilds is a game that rewards your exploration and gives you like anytime you see something in the distance, you're like, hey, what's that over there?
You can go to it.
Yeah, and it's fantastic. It's got great score. It's whatever. But the main aspect of is the discovery, and I think the idea of merging the gameplay mechanic of discovery with an open world setting that also has the fantastic gameplay of a Dark Souls game and the really cool lore of a Dark Souls game. Merging all of that has created a perfect game. And I think this is a masterpiece.
A game just for you.
This is not even just for me, but like this is a game that I am resonating with hard.
It checks all the boxes on your list of a good game.
Totally. And like when I'm not playing Elden Ring, I'm thinking about playing Elden Ring.
Yeah, man, it's like heroin, right?
Honestly, like I've genuinely gone to bed. I'm like, oh man, I wish I could go
I've
play.
dreamt of it.
Me too.
I've dreamt of it. Like
Shane. I wasn't gonna say it because I felt like I was like, but like I have dreamt about this game.
Yeah. Like if I played it all or even for an evening, and I know I'm gonna wake up and be able to play it again.
Yeah.
I dream of Elden Ring.
Yeah. It's crazy, Noah. Like, it's. I can't. It's been very difficult to form my thoughts around this game because like it's so. There's so much going for it that's fantastic, but only only a select group of people understand what I'm talking about when I say like this is a Dark Souls game meets a Breath of the Wild game meets Outer Wilds meets like and there's only a select few people that will like be able to relate to that. But I just this is going to move gaming forward in a way where like people are going to look to Elden Ring like they look to Breath of the Wild.
Well,
and they're going to be
it's definitely making like ripples in the gaming
totally
community.
Yeah, and like games of the future will take lessons from this game, and I think that's so exciting. And I think that is the mark of a masterpiece.
And that's something that From Software has done before. Like even coming out with Dark Souls games and them being outrageously difficult things that they are, you can see that coming out in other games like Mortal Shell, which isn't made by From Software, or coming out in Jedi Fallen Order.
Yep. There's a reason why so many games have taken the idea. If you ever see a trailer for a game and it has a stamina bar, everybody will be like, oh, it's a Dark Souls game. If you have a dodge roll and a stamina bar, and like stamina management, it's a Dark Souls game. It's
yeah,
a Souls
or
like.
like even the target lock on where you move according to where your
Yeah,
enemy is. That's
totally.
Souls too. Yeah.
And like everybody has like gives a lot of you have to give a lot of respect to the original like Demon Souls, because that really pioneered the genre.
Yeah.
And has created a third person action combat what's the word?
System.
Thank you. That has become a staple and like is used by everybody. It's like when when Halo pioneered the first person shooter thing, because before it was tank controls where you had to like move with the D-pad and then aim up or down. Like you didn't have dual analogs, right? You just had a D-pad.
Mm-hmm.
But Halo came along and it was like, hey, use both of your thumbs. You're like, what?
It's like any review that says, "Oh, this game is the Dark Souls of this genre."
Cuphead was the Dark Souls of platformers because it was difficult.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like,
and you see that everywhere.
that my point. Wrapping it around somehow, Elden Ring is going to become like everybody's going to be like, this is the Elden Ring of.
It's going to become a landmark game.
It is, and it's really going to create ripples in anything you play in the next, not in the next like few years, but like coming down the line, the next 5 years, people will be playing this game right now, developers, and they're going to be like, how do we implement this?
Well, and there's going to be a lot of people who aren't like in the gaming industry right now playing this game, and then they're gonna grow up, be inspired by it, and produce.
When am I
games.
going to grow up? You know,
Never.
But yeah, no, I think it's a masterpiece, and I can't put a score on it right now, but like if I could, then 100. Like I genuinely don't have a problem with this game.
Not a single thing. Nothing to knock it down to 99. It's 100.
100 is not perfect, in my opinion. Like that's when you see on IGN everybody gets mad when there's a 10. Like something gets a 10 out of 10. It's like, how the fuck did this game get a 10 out of 10? The matchmaking is stupid. Items are broken.
Yeah, they'll have their little issues with it.
Yeah, but like no game is perfect.
No.
Like obviously there's problems with this game. For one, I have been trying my best to engage in the multiplayer, and it is not working. Like the amount of times I try to log into multiplayer on this game, and it's just like, oh, login failed. I'm like,
that is just classic FromSoft.
Yeah.
That's just something they've never gotten right. But honestly, I don't give a I've never given a shit personally. But yes, when you're talking about giving something a perfect score, then that's the kind of things that people
you could totally knock it down for that. But for me, everything else that this game is providing, the amount of fucking content in this game,
your experiences
from day one, is absurd. And like doesn't make sense, because you look at any other game like, I don't know, the Division 2, and it's like, hey, we're going to give you about 20 hours of gameplay, and then you can grind it for another 10 to 15 hours, but that's it, and then we'll drip feed you some more content throughout the year. This game has given me 40 hours of content, and I haven't even noticed, man. It's absurd. This game is fantastic, and I love it so much, and I can't wait to finish this podcast and go home and play Elden Ring. You know?
100 out of 100 coming from Randy.
Yeah, 100 out of 100, man.
Now, Shane, I feel like you're going to have a pretty similar score.
Yeah. It is hard to score because it's hard to compare games to each other when games are so different. Like, I'm trying to think, because as I've said many times, The Witcher 3 is my favorite game of all time, right? Mm-hmm. And when I'm trying to match Elden Ring to The Witcher, what's different between the two?
A lot.
The Witcher has an insanely good story and world building, because you get to know people, you get to know towns and stuff like that. And it's so hard to compare those against each other. Like, it's like trying to say who's the best musician of all time and trying to compare Eminem with Michael Jackson with the Beatles, right? Like, they're all so different and they're all so good at what they did that it's hard to say which one is better than the other.
Totally.
Yeah, I can't find any flaws that I would say take away from the score of the game if I was to score the game. Like I said, the beacons are a little
it's annoying, but
it's a minor nuisance. The combat is very similar to Souls games before. There's nothing flashy about it. It's you have your light swing, your heavy swing, you have your weapon ability, backstab, and
parry.
Or
parry
and riposte, and like Souls combat that basically hasn't changed since the first one. which after playing Neo, that has a pretty like a lot more advanced
Combat system?
interactive combat system where you can do a lot more. That's one thing that I find Elden Ring, but it also doesn't bother me that much. Like I kind of love that they've kept it the same, and that still when you kill an enemy it makes that same cheap slice noise that it's made since Dark Souls 1, I'm pretty sure, which is like same noise when you kill everything, doesn't matter how you kill it or what it is. It makes the same noise.
And then the enemy will just go,
yeah, and like drops to its knees. There's no ragdoll physics. And the enemy disappears off of the ground. It doesn't hang around, right? But yeah, I can't complain about it because I'm kind of glad that they stuck to their roots and haven't tried to do something silly and kind of tarnish their own game in that way. So,
so sound effect, I would use it right now.
So yeah, for me, I can't take anything away from it. So it's pretty hard to rate art. But
totally
100 from me, I suppose.
Honestly, like, and even to your point about that, Shane, like, you and I are very much like melee-based people in these games, right? There is an entire different section of combat for magic that I'm playing this game, and this might sound like I'm a crazy person, but like, I'm playing this game, and I'm probably gonna sink at least 100 hours into this game for my first playthrough. I'm already thinking about my second playthrough. I'm already thinking about what if I did this with a magic build? Because I've never done that before, but they make it so enticing in this.
I have seen a lot of crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Like a bunch of magic stuff, like just on TikTok. And it looks like it's ripped straight out of like animes and stuff.
It looks insane.
Well, I think that's a huge part of their welcoming to new players is magic, because magic, as a rule, is quite a bit easier than melee, right? It's ranged. You stand there, you press a button.
There's less risk.
But they've made it very cool. And magic is everywhere. And I think that's just another thing they've put in this game, that if you want a hard Souls experience, you don't have to use it, but it's there for you to use, and you don't need to feel bad about it.
Totally. Yeah. Well, and that's the thing too, is like there's a lot of people, if you go into the communities for this game or like Dark Souls games in general, there will be these fucking gatekeepers that are very much like, oh, you're not playing the game properly if you use the items that are in the game to make it easier. It's like, shut up.
If you're not supposed to use it, why are they there?
Why is it there? Why is it there?
Yeah, you need to go full naked level 1.
Yeah,
that's
if you're not, if you're using the messages, if you're reading any message, you're cheating. And then also to your point as well, Shane, about like how the combat for melee even is just the same as the original. Like, I think they've created a fairly, I'll say it, they've created a very almost perfect like combat system and like way to play the gameplay feel. But it's the classic problem of like, how do you perfect perfection, or like how do you improve upon perfection? I wouldn't say perfection, I guess, but like how do you improve on something very, very good? And they do. They've created things like you can hold R2. No, sorry. You can there's battle arts to every single weapon that you can change now. So like each weapon can have a certain battle art that comes with it, which is like a special ability per weapon. Or if a different weapon has a different battle art and it's applicable to your type of weapon, you can bring it on over and put it onto that weapon. And like there are just so many different little nuances that you can do that like everything in Elden Ring is building upon the last few games of Dark Souls and Sekiro and everything like that. And it just keeps getting better and better and better. And again, like how do you improve upon perfection? They keep doing it somehow. Like even in just the most minute ways, but like I love this game.
Well, thank you both. 2 100s out of 100 scores.
It's crazy. First 100s on the pod.
on the podcast, the first 100s perfect scores for what sounds like a perfect game.
Not a perfect game, just a masterpiece. I'll say it.
That's fair.
Yeah,
that's fair. I haven't done a whole lot of the closing remarks. However, I will thank the viewers for sticking around, listening to us ramble on about video games, as it's something that we enjoy, and it's fun for us to do, and we just take pride in it.
I like talking about video games.
It's fun.
I'm kind of a big fan.
Yeah, this was fun.
Played a little bit of it.
Yeah, thank you for coming on, Shane. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
We need another resident Dark Souls expert in the building. So
we don't have a whole lot of them.
Yeah, it's a hard genre.
Well,
Only
and
the
you,
best of the best, baby.
and you do also have plenty of gaming experience in other games.
I try to play every single player game that I can.
I think you have the most platinums of anybody.
You do. Yeah. That is true. Like,
So,
not anybody in the world, but
no.
in our group, for sure.
in our immediate group.
Yeah. Shane's hungry for platinums. Like,
starving.
Oh,
Starving.
All the time.
Are you eyeing the Elden Ring one? I haven't looked at them because they're all secrets.
I've read the power picks outline for it.
He's already
Is
planning.
it
I don't think I'm
multiple
going to do it.
playthroughs?
It's unless you read their playthrough and find out exactly when in the game you need to start doing backup saves. I don't want to screw with that. I
Yeah.
just want to experience the game completely blind and uninterrupted by anything like that. So no, I don't think I'm going to bother with this one.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Dark Souls games are typically that annoying.
They're typically extremely difficult. I've never gotten one. So.
I've only gotten Bloodborne, and that was hell.
Mm-hmm.
That was awful.
Well, still, thank you. We'll probably have you on as you have like a stupid amount of gaming experience.
You have a PS5. That means you can play God of War Ragnarok.
I'll be pre-ordering that.
Oh, definitely.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Anyways, thank the viewers for watching.
Mm-hmm.
Randy, I'm sure you know all the plugins.
The plugins.
Or the plugs for other people.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm sure you know them all by heart.
Yeah.
If you wouldn't mind taking the reins on that.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much to Daniel Mosionier for editing and creating fantastic intro and outro music. You can find his YouTube channel in the description. Thank you very much to the Creation Nation Makerspace for having a dope pad that allows us to create this podcast. It's very well made, and we love working here. They're very friendly.
We're not going to steal anything.
We will never steal anything. It just makes it sound like we're about to fucking run out of here.
I guess the stealing part was talked about.
We wouldn't do that.
No, definitely not.
Shane's
but
trustworthy. Don't worry.
Yeah, it's fine. So thank you, once again to the Creation Nation Makerspace. Come on down. Russ is a very fantastic, friendly guy that will just show you the ropes and be like, hey, this is our space. Like, be creative. Do whatever you want. There's student deals. If you are a student, you get $25 a month and you get access to so many different aspects of this place. There's mug making, there's hat printing or hat pressing, there's vinyl cutters, there's sewing machines, there's 3D printers, there's a wood shop, there's this recording booth. There's so much here that if you have an idea and you want to expand on it, come on down.
And they also do they also teach lessons.
Yeah,
on
and
how
they
to
have
use a lot of stuff.
Yeah, you're not just gonna stand in here and be like, I don't know how this works. They will teach you. They will show you the way, and like they will show you the way.
They have instructors here to properly teach you the procedures for everything.
Totally. It's a fantastic program, and I think that a lot of people are kind of like gliding over it or like not quite seeing it, but there's a lot of potential here, and it come on down. It's great. The Facebook link to that is in the description as well. If you are this far into the podcast, what I want you to do is we have an upcoming episode where we want to do hat questions, where we just pull questions from a hat. Please go to our Twitter account, which is in the description as well, and just DM us a question. It can be anonymous. It can be with your name strapped to it. You can ask us which one of us has the most platinums. It's Shane. Or like you can do any questions you want. So please check that out too.
You can be a part of the next podcast.
You can be with the power of the internet.
It's crazy how that
Crazy.
works.
Wild.
Last thing I want to promote, please. There is a thing called the subscribe button on YouTube. We've been stagnant for a little while on 21. Let's get that
Not
to
just
22.
YouTube. Don't they also have things for Spotify?
Well, Spotify, I just look at views or like how many listens we get on there. We are getting close to 500 views on YouTube total.
Wow.
That's huge. And we're really, really thankful for that. So obviously, thank you, the viewer. But also, go on your friend's phone and just be like, hey, do you have YouTube on this thing? And they're like, yeah, of course I got YouTube on this thing.
Just ask to see your parents' phone.
Yeah,
Just
your
for a
parents
bit.
aren't going to notice.
Just ask to play a song.
Yeah.
Take a detour.
Yeah.
What's their... Your parents don't watch YouTube. You can just subscribe on there.
They're not going to notice.
It's going to make us feel better.
Yeah, I went in. Jordan was still logged in on my computer. Guess what? Jordan's now a subscriber of the Junk Monkeys podcast. But yeah, that's basically my rigmarole.
Awesome. Well, thank you. And just to hammer home, thanks to the viewers. And we'll probably be here in another 2 weeks. That's roughly what we're shooting for.
Yeah, you bet. Every second Friday, we'll be up.
Unless any balls happen to
Be dropped.
be dropped.
I didn't drop any balls this time.
Nope.
So far.
Nope. So far.
We'll see what happens.
Anyways, thank you for listening. Once again, I'm Noah. I have Randy here to my right, and our guest Shane.
Hello.
And that's it for today.
Cool.
Thank you, and see you later.
Bye.